What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, I'm going to go over the trades that we took on Thursday as well as the game plan going into this week. So, this is what we look like currently on the 30-minute chart. You guys know, I say this every video. The 30-minute chart tells you the trend in the market. So, the Friday contracts, 30-minute chart tells you the trend. And on Friday, this is what we looked like. You guys know, on Fridays, we pick new contracts because the current ones would be 0DT. So we go next week out contracts based on where SPY opens, round the nearest fifth of where we open, add 5, subtract out, do the contracts. All right, so we end up getting the 6:30 calls. And what do we look like off of open? Market's bullish. Why? 10 SMA, which is the green, is above this 50 SMA, which is the blue. That means we're bullish. And we're focused on the long side. So this is the call, 6:30 calls. So we're bullish. What do we look for? Pretty simple. 0DT cross on calls. If you look here, I mean, obviously the put side doesn't tell us anything because we are bullish on the call side. So this chart's pretty much irrelevant. If we go to the 0DT chart on Friday, or not Friday, on Thursday, this is what we ended up looking like. You can see right off of open, it was pretty clear that right off open this was going to head higher. I mean, the 30 minutes bullish and 0DT chart got back above the 10, the 50, and look at this move. We just trended up all day because the market was bullish. And if we even go to the higher time frames, I'm not sure these contracts actually show it, but yeah, okay. There's no cross on the 4-hour. I know on Thursday, not Thursday, on what's it called? Actually, yeah, I think not Thursday. On Wednesday, on the contracts we had, the 4-hour chart was actually crossing, and then we got new ones on Thursday because, you know, I know it's not Friday, but it's, you know, next set of expiration. It's a little weird since we, you know, weren't open on Friday. But if you just look at the higher time frames, I mean, look at this chart. Every other time frame is crossed and curling, the 50's curling up, and look at the moves. I mean, you know, it's pretty simple not to short on Friday, or I keep saying Friday, but on Thursday, because one, we're bullish on the Friday contracts, and two, 0DT chart is crossed. So it was pretty simple. The only thing you could have really played is going long right here off of open. I mean, it's a higher risk type of trade because it is off of open. I like to wait usually, you know, 20-30 minutes. I didn't call this out, but I did take some, you know, not much of a like super heavy position, but I was able to catch some points along the way. I mean, that was the only opportunity. I mean, if you look here, we just trended up higher the, you know, entire day. We never got this dip to the 50, which would have been the trade to look for. Because you guys know, if we are crossed on the 30-minute chart on the call side and we are crossed on the 0DT chart on the call side, then you could buy the 50 dips. So any dip to this 50 SMA, you buy. But I mean, since this is so late in the day and it's a short day, you know, not buying this 50 dip all the way towards close. So, you know, as long as we're like, before, like an hour before close, I'm not taking any trades. That's just usually how I go about it. No need to be playing the last hour because the theta is going to mess with the contracts. So, you know, anything before like an hour before close, I'll be willing to take. But yeah, it was pretty simple Friday. Or Thursday. You know, there was not much going on besides longing off of open or not taking a trade because there was really nothing else. We did get this little 10 SMA reclaim, but again, it's a little bit riskier for the 10 SMA reclaims. You kind of want to wait for a dip somewhat near the 50, and that's nowhere near the 50. So you could have squeezed some points out of that, but not an ideal trade. But yeah, that's what you would have done Friday. Then that's how we read the market on Thursday. I keep saying Friday, but on Thursday. And then we had a killer week playing options. I think I went over these. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll go over. Yeah, we took Oracle. I mean, this was just a killer setup. What contract is this? The third. So yeah, we just played this 30-minute cross on Oracle. Look at this move. I told you guys. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I went over this trade already, but I did take an initial loss right here. So let me try and drag this so you can see the middle. Okay, you can't really see it, but right here. So on this candle up in here, I actually grabbed my position, and then because at the time, look how close the 10 and the 50 were, but again, these contracts were a bit cheaper, so it did pull back quick, and I stopped out 25%, but then we got back in right on this candle. Contracts were around like 0.50 when we got in, and I didn't buy these exact contracts, but I grabbed different expiration, like I think the July 11th ones we grabbed, and look at the move we got. I mean, we got 180% on the runners that I swung in the next day. You can see we got this massive move here right at 9:30 on the open on Thursday. That's where I sold it all, and you know, we ended up getting this big dip which got bought up and it went higher, but I sold all right here. And eventually, you know, if you did hold this, you know, stop loss below 50, you would have made even more, but I was completely fine with this big move here off of open. 180, 190% on the runners. I mean, can't really complain with that. That was a setup we took. I'm not sure if I have the right contracts here to show you, but the daily chart was crossed. This is really, I think, a good new way of the system of trading these charts. I think this is going to be an absolute moneymaker. It's pretty simple. Use the monthly contracts, which is, if you go on Thinkorswim, pull up the options chain. Every single contract next to it will say weeklies, and the one that doesn't say weeklies is the monthly contract. So that's the one you want to be using for the daily chart to see the really overall bigger picture. And then we use the weeklies, which is like the nearest Friday expiration, and play the 30-minute cross. So once we get that 30-minute cross, that's your entry point. And this was the obviously entry point we got right here, which was on Oracle. And again, daily chart was already crossed on the July 18th monthly contract. So we were just waiting for the confirmation to go long on this and look at the move. I mean, it's really not that hard. If we look here, these are some key setups that I'm watching in the week. I might have, again, went over this already, but I'm already in MSTR. I really like the setup. 10's going above the 50. The daily chart isn't crossed, but if we look on the other contracts real quick, which one is this? Yeah, wait, no, it's these ones, I think. If we look here on the 410s, not really too concerned about the 30-minute on these. Again, like every other time frame. Okay, this is ugly 2-hour, but again, this 4-hour chart, it's starting to break above. We closed above the 4-hour. We tested it like once, twice, 3 times. This is the 4th time, and it's not sloped down super hard. So since the weekly's crossed, I'm giving this a go. And obviously my first target is this is gonna be the daily 50 right here at like $28 on these contracts. So up in here, maybe we'll get some resistance. That's where I'd want to start scaling. And then I'm probably not going to sell it all at the 50. I'll probably see how it reacts at this 50 SMA in the daily if we get to it, and then go from there. But by the time we're at this 50, I'm going to be out most. I'm just going to have some runners in case we do cross in the daily. And if it does start to get a rejection, I'll sell. So that's pretty much what I'm eyeing up on MSTR. Again, pretty nice setup. If we go here, we have Uber. This is another one I'm eyeing up because 30-minute chart. I know futures are down a little bit, so we might get the 95s for this week. If Uber opens red, I really hope we do get the 95s because they are just more in the money, or they're closer to the money than the hundreds. But again, this 30-minute chart did cross here at the close, but it is at a key spot. So if we go on the monthly contracts on Uber, the daily chart, this is what I'm using the daily chart for. I don't think I have the right ones. These are the hundreds. Let me go to the 95s real quick. I think I could just go like this and go 95. Nope, that is fucker. Gotta love it. Spilled my drink. But anywho, if we go to the 95s on Uber, I don't know why it's telling me to go to 95. Is there not 95 calls for Uber? I don't even know. I swear this is not the right contract. Oh, wait, this is the July 11th. That's why. Hold on. I know I have the right ones here somewhere. I swear I had them. 95, 7, 8. Okay, yeah, this is what the hundreds look like at the moment. If we get the hundreds, this is what they look like with the daily 50 here. And look at this. I mean, this is kind of eyeing up to be a good setup. So I know it's not crossed yet, but it's looking like if we get the 30-minute chart, which is crossing at the moment, it just depends where we open up really. I didn't really want to jump the gun before close because it's a long weekend, but again, if 10 SMA, a lot of times, like when we get the daily chart across, the 10 SMA will hold, it'll cross up, and if this 50 SMA is really flat, and you guys know the level, like the more flat the 50 is, the less of resistance it is. So if we do get Uber to cross on the 30-minute on the weeklies, I'm gonna take it just because we already rejected the daily once, twice, 3 times right here. Pulled back to the 10, and if this goes and bounces from the 10, most likely it's gonna cross and break the 50. So Uber, good setup to look for this week. Again, I'm watching for the 30-minute chart to cross. I know it's crossed right now, but it just really depends on the contracts we get for the week. So yeah, Uber, another good looking setup that I'm eyeing up. And then we have, I think, AMD. Yeah, AMD again. If you look here, daily chart, this is really clean. I mean, we already got a massive move on this, like the previous week or week before. You could see 10 went above the 50 on the daily, explosive move, 30-minute cross, definitely happened in this time period. Right now, it's sitting at the daily 50, which is massive support. There's 2 ways to play this. You could honestly grab some August, like 1 month to 2 month out contracts right here, a little bit out of the money, and swing them. Stop loss, closure below the 50, or you could wait for the 30-minute cross on the nearest weekly contract to go long for like shorter expiration. So you could, I mean, you could do both if you want. Buy at the 50 right here, and then once we get the 30-minute chart to cross, go with some shorter expiration to catch the move. I mean, it's really simple. So AMD, if we get 30-minute cross on the weeklies, that's a good trade to take. But yeah, those are some setups I'm eyeing. There's, I think, a couple more, but that's just a few that I'm going to be looking for going into the week. It's very simple, man. All we're doing is playing 30-minute crosses, looking at the higher time frames and the monthlies. That's how you play the individual stocks. It's very simple. Again, and you could do this for SPY too. That's why, like, a while ago I favored the market just to go higher, because if we look here, I'm going to switch this up. I'm pretty sure I have the contract pulled up, but if we go here, I have the contract right here, I believe. It's the July 18th. Yeah, look at this daily chart. Obviously, this is a little different because I ended up changing this, I think. We ended up changing them, but like a couple weeks ago, we were sitting right at the daily 50, so this kind of doesn't do justice of what the chart looks like. But we were on different contracts sitting right at the daily 50, and the daily 50 we actually bottomed out at. I think I could find the screenshot of what we looked like a while ago, like probably like 7 days ago when we were right at the daily 50. I want to find it just so you guys have the context, but it's pretty simple. All right, I finally found the screenshot, but this is what we looked like on, what day was this? The 15th, and this actually ended up marking the bottom. The dip we had that day was the absolute bottom, and we just trended higher from there. I mean, the like monthly contracts give you that like larger time frame outlook, and then we could use the 30-minute chart to take plays off of it, like the individual stocks. So that's pretty much all I got for today. Hopefully we could catch some good trades, a lot of good setups on like individual tickers. Hopefully we could get like some sort of 0DT cross tomorrow. But if we did dip, I know futures are down a little bit, wouldn't be surprised at all, because if we look at the current 30-minute chart, we are pretty extended a bit. If we look here, I mean, look where we're at. I mean, wouldn't be surprised if we did get a dip to the 50. I'm still bullish until this 30-minute chart goes negative. So that's the plan for the week. Tomorrow, I don't think I gave it, but 0DT cross on calls is the ideal trade. Most likely won't be taking a put cross unless there's a decently sized gap between the 10 and the 50 when we get the cross. I don't know if that's going to be the case because the contracts are only like $1 apart. So, call cross, negative cross on puts if we're still above this 50 SMA here. So we pull down to the 50, puts are already crossed, wait for that chart to go negative, and then I go long as long as we're holding this 50. If we just absolutely dump, then I'd be open to taking a put cross if this chart goes negative on the 30 minutes. So that's the plan for tomorrow. If you guys enjoyed, drop a sub. That's all I got. I'm out. Peace.